We cannot calculate the length and breadth of this universe. There are millions and millions of universes like this within this material world. And above this material world is the spiritual sky, where the planets are all eternal. Life on those planets are also eternal. This material manifestation comprises only one fourth of the entire creation. Ekam Sena Sthito Jagat. Ekam Sena means one fourth. Three-fourths of the creation is beyond this material sky, which is covered like a ball. This covering extends millions and millions of miles, and only after penetrating that covering can one enter the spiritual sky. That is open sky and eternal sky. In these words, it is stated, Paras tasmat tu bhavo niyaha. Yet there is another nature. The word bhava means another nature. We have experience only with this material nature. But from Bhagavad Gita, we understand that there is a spiritual nature that is transcendental and eternal. We actually belong to that spiritual nature because we are spirit, but presently we are covered by this material body, and therefore we are a combination of material and spiritual. Just as we can understand that we are a combination of both nature, we should understand also that there is a spiritual world beyond this material universes. Spiritual nature is called superior and material nature is called inferior, because without spirit matter cannot move. This cannot be understood by the experimental knowledge. We may look at millions and millions of stars through telescopes, but we cannot approach what we are seeing. Similarly, our senses are so insufficient that we cannot approach an understanding of the spiritual nature. Being incapable, we should not try to understand God and His kingdom by experimental knowledge. Rather, we have to understand by hearing Bhagavad Gita. There is no other way. If we want to know who is our father is, we simply have to believe our mother. We have no other way of knowing except by her. Similarly, in order to understand who God is, what his nature is, we have to accept the information given in Bhagavad Gita. There is no question of experimenting. Once we become advanced in Krishna consciousness, we will realize God and his nature. We can come to understand, yes, there is a God and a spiritual kingdom, and I have to go there. Indeed, I must prepare myself to go there. The word Vyakta means manifest. This material universe that we are seeing or partially seeing before us is manifest. At least at night we can see that stars are twinkling and there are innumerable planets. But beyond this, Vyakta is another nature called Avyaktya, which is unmanifest. That is the spiritual nature, which is Sanatan, eternal. This material nature has a beginning and end, but the spiritual nature has neither beginning nor end. This material sky is within the covering of the Mahatattva, matter. This matter is like cloud. When there is a storm, it appears that the entire sky is covered with clouds, but actually only an insignificant part of the sky is covered. Because we are very minute, if just a few hundred miles are covered, it appears that the entire sky is covered. As soon as the wind comes and blows the clouds away, we can see the sky once again. Like the clouds, this Mahatattva covering has a beginning and an end. Similarly, the material body, being a part of material nature, has a beginning and end. The body is born, grows, stays for some time, leaves some byproducts, dwindles, and then vanishes. Whatever material manifestation we see undergoes these six basic transformation. Whatever exists within the material nature will ultimately become vanquished. But herein Krishna is telling us that beyond this vanishing cloud like material nature, there is a superior nature which is Sanatan, eternal. Yahasa sarveshu bhuteshu nyaseteshu na vinashyati. When this material manifestation is annihilated, that spiritual sky remain. This is called Avyaktyo Vyaktat. In the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a description of the spiritual sky and the people who live there. Its nature and features are also discussed. From this canto, we understand there are spiritual airplanes in the spiritual sky, and that the living entities there who are all liberated travel like a lightning on those planes throughout the spiritual sky. This material world is simply an imitation. Whatever we see here is simply a shadow of what exists there. The material world is like a cinema wherein we see but an imitation or shadow of a real thing that is existing. This material world is only a shadow, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yatra Stri Sargo Marsha. This illusory material world is a combination of matter. In store windows, we often see mannequins, but no sane man thinks that these mannequins are real. He can see that they are imitations. Similarly, whatever we see here may be beautiful, just as a mannequin may be beautiful, but it is simply an imitation of the real beauty found in the spiritual world. As Sridhar Swami says, Yat Satyatya Mithya, Sargopi Satyavat Pritayat. The spiritual world is real, and this unreal material manifestation only appear to be real. We must understand that reality will never be vanquished, and that its essence reality means eternity. Therefore, material pleasure, which is temporary, is not actual. Real pleasure exists in Krishna. Consequently, those who are after the reality do not participate in the shadow pleasure. Thus, when everything in the material world is annihilated, that spiritual nature remains eternally. It is the purpose of human life to reach the spiritual sky. Unfortunately, people are not aware of the reality of the spiritual sky. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, Nate Vidu Sarvatha Gatim, He Vishnu. People do not know their self interest. They do not know that human life is meant for understanding spiritual reality and preparing oneself to be transferred to that reality. No one can remain here in this material world. All the Vedic literature instructs in this way. Tamasi ma jyotir gama. Don't remain in the darkness, go to the light. According to the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, na tada bhasyate suryo na shanshako na pavaka yad gatva na nivantate tada dhama paramam mama. That abode of mine is not illuminated by the sun or the moon or by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to this material world. This material world is dark by nature, and we are artificially illuminating it with electric bulbs, fire, and so on. In any case, its nature is dark, but the spiritual nature is full of light. When the sun is present, there is no darkness. Similarly, every planet in the spiritual sky is self luminous. Therefore, there is no darkness, nor is there need of sun, moon, or electricity. The word Surya means sun, Shashanko means moon, Pavaka means fire or electricity. So these are not required in the spiritual sky for illumination. And again, Krishna herein says, Yad Gatva na nivartate tad dhama paramam mama. That is my supreme abode, and one who reaches it never return to this material world. This is stated throughout Bhagavad Gita again in the 8th chapter. अव्यक्तो कशारा इति युक्तास्तम आहु परमं गतिम यम प्रपाया ना निवर्तते तद धामा परमं मामा. That supreme abode is called unmanifested and infallible, and it is the supreme destination. When one goes there, he never comes back. That is my supreme abode. Again, the word avyakta means unmanifest is used. The word akshara means that which is never annihilated, or that which is infallible. This means that since the Supreme Abode is eternal, it is not subject to the six transformation mentioned previously. Because we are presently covered by a dress of material senses, we cannot see the spiritual world, and the spiritual nature is inconceivable for us. Yet we can feel that there is something spiritual present. Even a man completely ignorant of the spiritual nature can somehow feel its presence. One need only analyze his body silently. What am I this finger? Am I this body? Am I hair? No, I am not this, I am not that, I am something other than this body. I am something beyond this body. What is that? That is the spiritual. It is not actually is not difficult to understand. In this way, we can feel or sense the presence of spirituality within the matter. We can sense the absence of spirit when the body is dead. If we witness someone dying, we can sense that something is leaving the body. है ना? Although we do not have the eyes to see it, that something is spirit. Its presence in the body is explained in the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. अविनाशी तु तद विधि येना सर्वम इदम ततम विनाशम अव्यस्या यस्या न कश्चित कर्तुम अर्हति. Knows that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. Spiritual existence is eternal, whereas the body is not. It is said that the spiritual atmosphere is avyakta, unmanifest. How then it can be manifest for us? Making the unmanifest manifest in this very process of Krishna consciousness. According to the Padam Purana, अथा कृष्ण नामादि ना भवत ग्राह्यम इंद्रिय सेवन्मुखी ही जीवादु स्वयं एव स्फुरत अधे. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he revealed himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. In this word, the word Indriya means the senses. We have five senses for gathering knowledge: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, and five senses of working: voice, hands, legs, genitals, and anus. These 10 senses are under the control of the mind. It is stated in this verse that with these dull material senses we cannot understand Krishna name, form, and so forth. Why is this? Krishna is completely spiritual, he is also absolute. Therefore, his name, form, qualities, and paraphernalia are also spiritual. Due to material conditioning, our material bondage is we cannot presently understand what is spiritual. But this ignorance can be removed by chanting Hare Krishna. If man is sleeping, he can be awakened by the sound vibration. You can call him. Come on, it's time to get up. Although the person is unconscious, hearing is so prominent that even a sleeping man can be awakened by a sound vibration. Similarly, overpowered by this material conditioning, our spiritual consciousness is presently sleeping, but it can be revived by this transcendental vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. As stated before, Hare refer to the energy of the Lord, and the Krishna Nam Ram refer to the Lord Himself. Therefore, when we chant Hare Krishna, we are praying, "O Lord, O energy of the Lord, please accept me, please engage me in your service." We have no other prayers than please accept me. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us that we should simply cry and pray that Lord accept us. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself prayed, Ei Nanda Tunaj Kinkaram Patitam Pam Vishma Bhavabundo Karpaya Tava Pada Pankajam Sit Dhuli Shradashanam Vichantiye. O Krishna, son of Nand Maharaj, somehow or other I have fallen into this ocean of new science and ignorance. Please pick me up and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. If a man has fallen into the ocean, his only hope for survival is that someone pick up to him up. He only has to be lifted 1 inch above the water in order to feel immediate relief. Similarly, as soon as we take to Krishna consciousness, we are lifted and we feel immediate relief. We cannot doubt that the transcendental is there. Bhagavad Gita is being spoken by the Supreme Personality of the Godhead Himself. Therefore, we should not doubt His word. The only problem is feeling and understanding that what He is telling us. That understanding must be developed gradually and the knowledge will be revealed by the chanting of Hare Krishna. By this simple process, we can come to understand the spiritual kingdom, the self, the material world, God, the nature of unconditioning, liberation from material bondage, and everything else. This is called Cheto Darpan Marjanam, cleansing the dusty mirrors of the impure mind. Whatever the case, we must have the faith in the word of Krishna. When we purchase a ticket on a Pan America or Air India, we have faith that our company or that company will take us to our destination. Faith is created because the company is authorized. Our faith should not be blind. Therefore, we should accept that which is recognized. Bhagavad Gita has been recognized as authorized scripture in India for thousands of years, and even outside India, there are many scholars, religionists, and philosophers who have accepted Bhagavad Gita as authority. It is said that even such a great scientist as Albert Einstein was reading Bhagavad Gita regularly, and we should not doubt about Bhagavad Gita authenticity. Therefore, when Lord Krishna says that there is a supreme abode and we can go there, we should have faith that such an abode exists. Many philosophers think that the spiritual abode is impersonal or void. Impersonalists like the Shankaratis and the Buddhists generally speak of the void or emptiness. But Bhagavad Gita does not disappoint us in this way. The philosophy of voidism has simply created atheism, and because it is the nature of the living entity to want enjoyment. As soon as he thinks that his future is void, he will try to enjoy the brightness of this material life. Thus, impersonalism leads to armchair philosophical discussion, attachment to the material enjoyment. We may enjoy speculating, but that no real spiritual benefit can be derived from such speculation. Bhakti prasanubhavo viraktir anyatra cha. Once we have developed the devotional spirit, we have become immediately detached from all kinds of material enjoyment. As soon as a hungry man eats, he feels immediate satisfaction and he says, "No, I don't want any more, I am satisfied." This satisfaction is characteristic of the Krishna consciousness man. Brahmabhuta prasanna atma na sochati na kansati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains the pure devotional service unto me. As soon as one is spiritually realized, he feels real full satisfaction and no longer hankers after flickering material enjoyment as stated in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. विषाया विनिवर्तन्ते निरहरस्य देहिना रसावर्जम रसोपि अस्या परमं दृष्टवा न निवर्तते. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, through the taste for sense objects remain. But choosing such engagement by experiencing higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. A doctor may tell a diseased man, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't have sex, don't. In this way, diseased person is forced to accept so many don'ts, but inside he is thinking, oh, if I can just get these things, I will be happy. The desire remains inside, however, when established in Krishna consciousness, he is strong inside that he does not experience the desire. Although he is not important, he does not want sex. He can marry thrice but still detach. Param drashtava nivartate. When something superior is acquired, one naturally gives up all inferior things. Okay, that which is superior, that which is the superior is the supreme personality of Godhead, and atheism and impersonalism cannot give us this. He is attained only by unlimited devotion. पुरुषा सा परा पार्था भक्त्या लभ्यास्ते अनन्या यशंता स्थानी भूतानि येना sarvam idam tatam. The supreme personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attained by unlimited devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all pervading and everything is situated within him. The word Purusha Sa Para indicates the supreme person who is greater than all others. This is not a void speaking, but a person who has all characteristics of a personality in full. Just as we are talking face to face, when we reach the supreme abode, we can talk to God face to face. We can play with Him, eat with Him, everything else. This state is not acquired by mental speculation but by transcendental loving service. Bhaktya labhaya. The word Tav Anyanyaya indicate that this bhakti must be without adulteration, it must be unalloyed, that is wanted. Although Supreme Personality is the person and is present in his abode in the spiritual sky, he is so widespread that everything is within him. He is both inside and outside. Although God is everywhere, he still has kingdom, his abode. The sun may pervade the universe by his sunshine, yet the sun itself is separate identity. In his supreme abode, the Supreme Lord has no rival. Wherever he may be, we find a predominating personality. In the United States, the predominating personality is the president. However, when the next election comes, the president will have so many rivals. But in the spiritual sky, the Supreme Lord has no rival. Those who want to become rivals are placed in this material world under the condition of material nature. In the spiritual sky, there is no rivalry, and all the inhabitants there are in liberated states, liberated souls. From Srimad Bhagavatam, we receive information that their bodily features resemble gods. In some of the spiritual planets, God manifests his two-arm form, and in another he manifests four-arm forms. The living entity of those planets have corresponding features, and one cannot distinguish who is God and who is not. This is called Sarupya Mukti liberation, wherein one has the same feature as the Lord. There are five kinds of liberation: Sahujya, Sarupya, Salokaya, Srasti, or Sampaya. Sahujya Mukti means emerging into God's impersonal effulgence. Brahmajyoti. We have discussed this and have concluded that the attempt to merge and lose individuality is not desirable and is very risky. Surupya Mukti means attaining a body exactly like God's. Salokya Mukti means living on the same planet with God. Srastya Mukti means have the same opulence of God. For instance, God is very powerful. We can become more powerful like Him. This is called Srasti. Sampya Mukti means always remain with the God as one of His associate. For instance, Arjuna is always with the Krishna as his friend, and this is called Sampya Mukti. we can attain any of these five types of liberation, but out of these five, Saujya Mukti, merging into the Brahm Jyoti, is rejected by the Vaishnava philosophy. According to the Vaishnava philosophy, we worship God as He is and retain our spiritual separate identity eternally in order to serve Him. According to the Mayavad philosophy, impersonalism, one tries to lose his identity, individual identity, and merge into the existence of the Supreme. That, however, is a societal policy and is not recommended by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. This also has been rejected by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who advocate worship in separation. As stated before, the pure devotee does not even want liberation, he simply asks to remain Krishna devotees after birth after birth. This is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayers, and the word birth after birth indicate there is no liberation. This means that the devotee does not care whether he is liberated or not. He simply wants to engage in Krishna consciousness to serve the Supreme Lord. Always wanting to engage in God transcendental loving service is the symptom of pure devotion. Of course, wherever a devotee is, he remains in the spiritual kingdom, even though in the material body. On his part, he does not demand any of the five types of liberation, nor anything for his personal superiority or comfort. But in order to associate with God in the spiritual planets, one must become his pure devotee. For those who are not pure devotees, Lord Krishna explains at what times one should leave the body in order to attain the liberation. यत्रा कले तव अनावृतम अवृत्तम चैव योगिना प्रयता यन्ति तमम कलम वक्ष्यामि भारत सभा. O best of Bharas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, one does not come back. In India, unlike in the West, it is common for astrologer to make minute calculation of the astronomical situation at the moments of one birth. Indeed, a person's horoscope is read not only when he is born but also when he dies, in order to determine what his situation will be in the next life. All this can be determined by astrological calculation. In this verse, Lord Krishna is accepting those astrological principles, confirming that if the one body he leaves at a particular time, he may attain liberation. If one dies at a one moment, he may be liberated. Or if he is die at another moment, he may have to return to this material world. It is all a question of chance, but that chance, some way or other, is what one has. Yes. For the devotee, however, there is no question of chance. Whatever the astrological situation, the devotee in Krishna consciousness is guaranteed liberation. For others, there are chances that if they leave their body at a particular uh, moment, they may attain liberation or enter the spiritual kingdom, or they may be reborn. So it all depends upon what the consciousness one cultivate during the whole lifetime. अग्निर्ज्योतिर अह शुक्ला सन मासा उत्तरायणम तत्र प्रयाता गच्छन्ति ब्रह्मा विदो जना. Those who know the Supreme Brahman pass away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment. During the fortnight of the moon and the 6th month, when the sun travels in the north. As we all know, the sun movements are different. 6 months it is north of the equator, and 6 months it is south. The sun is also moving according to Vedic calculation, and from Srimad Bhagavatam, we are informed that the sun is situated at the center of the universe. Just all the planets are moving, the sun is also moving at a speed calculated at the 16,000 miles per second. If a person dies when the sun is in the northern hemisphere, he can attain liberation. This is not only the verdict of Bhagavad Gita but also of the other scriptures. Okay, I am not going to read this. The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the moonless night, or the 6th month, when the sun passes to the south, or who reaches the moon planet, again comes back. No one can say when he is going to die, and in that sense, the moment of one's death is accidental. However, for a devotee in a Krishna consciousness, there is no question of accident. शुक्ला कृष्ण गति ही एते जगथा शाश्वते मते एकया इति अनावृतम अन्या या वर्तते पुनः. According to the Vedas, there are two ways of passing from this world. One is the light and one is the darkness. When one passes in the light, he does not come back, but when he passes in the darkness, he returns. The same description of departure and return is quoted by Acharya Baladev Vibhushan Vidya Bhushan from the Chandogaya Upanishad. In such a way, those who are fruitive laborers and philosophical speculators from time immemorial are constantly going and coming. Actually, they do not attain ultimate salvation if for they do not understand, or we can say, we do not surrender to Krishna. नेते श्रुति प्रथा जनानन योगी मुह्यते कश्चना तस्मात् सर्वेषु कलेषु yoga-yukta bhav Arjuna. The devotees who know these two paths, O Arjuna, are never bewildered, therefore be always fixed in devotion. Herein the Lord confirms that there is no chance for one who practices bhakti yoga. His destination is certain, whether he dies when the sun is in the northern or southern hemisphere is of no importance. As we have already stated, if one thinks of Krishna at the time of death, he will at once be transferred to Krishna abode. Therefore, Krishna tells Arjuna to always remain in Krishna consciousness. This is possible through the chanting of Hare Krishna, since Krishna and his spiritual kingdom are not different. Being absolute, Krishna and his sound vibration are the same. Simply by vibrating Krishna name, we can enjoy Krishna association, Hare Krishna. If we are walking down the street chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna is also going with us. If we walk down the street and look up at the sky, we may see the sun or the moon is accompanying us. I can recall about 50 years ago when I was a householder. My second son, who was about 4 years old at the time, was walking with me down to the street and he suddenly asked me, Father, why is the moon going with us? If a material object like a moon has the power to accompany us, we can surely understand the Supreme Lord, who is all powerful, can always remain with us. Being omnipotent, He can always keep us company, provided that we are also qualified to keep His company. Pure devotees are always merged in the thought of Krishna and always remembering that Krishna is with them. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has confirmed the absolute nature of Krishna in his Shikastakam verse number 2. Nam nam kari bahuda nijra sarv shakti tatra pita niyamite smarane na kal itadrashi tava krapa bhagwan mamapi durdvevam dardasham ihit janina nurag. O my Lord, my supreme personality of the Godhead, in your holy name there is all good fortune for the living entity, and therefore you have many names such as Krishna, Govinda, by which you can expand yourself. You have invested all your potency in those names, and there are no hard and fast rule for remembering them. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon the fallen conditioned soul by liberally teaching your holy names, I am so unfortunate and that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and therefore I do not achieve the attachment for chanting. We may take the effort to spend a great deal of money and attempt to build or establish a temple for Krishna, but if we do so, we must observe many rules and regulations and see properly to the temple management. But herein it is confirmed that simply by chanting, any man can have the benefit of keep company with Krishna. Just as Arjuna is deriving benefit by being in the same chariot with Lord Krishna, we can also benefit by sitting with Krishna through the chanting of his holy names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This Maha Mantra is not only my personal concoction but is authorized by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is considered to be not only an authority but the incarnation of God, Lord Sri Krishna himself. It was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who said, O Lord, you are so kind to the people of this material world that you expand yourself in your holy name so that they can associate with you. Although the Maha Mantra is in the Sanskrit language and many people do not know its meaning, it is still so attractive that people participate when it is chanted publicly. When chanting the Maha Mantra, we are completely safe, even in the most dangerous position. We should always be aware that in this material world we are always in dangerous position. Srimad Bhagavatam confirms Padam Padam Yata Vipadam Na Tesham. In this world there is a danger at every step. The devotees of the Lord, however, not mean to remain in this miserable, dangerous place. Therefore, we should take care to advance in Krishna consciousness while in this human form. Then our happiness is assured. Okay, this is the appendix. So there is a about the author we can study. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada appeared in this world in 1896 in Calcutta, India. He first met his spiritual master Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami in Calcutta in 1922. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, a prominent religious scholar, And the founder of 64 Gaudiya Maths Vedic Institute liked this educated young man and convinced him to dedicate his life to teaching Vedic knowledge. Srila Prabhupada became his student, and 11 years later, 1933, at Allahabad, he became his formally initiated disciple. At their first meeting in 1922, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur requested Srila Prabhupada to broadcast Vedic knowledge through the English language. In the year that followed, Srila Prabhupada wrote a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, registered the Gaudiya Math in its work, and in 1944, without assistance, started an English fortnight magazine, edited it, typed it, manuscript, and checked the galley proofs. He even distributed the individual copies and struggled to maintain the publication. Once begun, the magazine never stopped. It is now being continued by his disciple in the West and is published in over 20 languages. Recognizing Srila Prabhupada's philosophical learning and devotion, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Society honored him in 1947 with the title Bhaktivedanta. In 1950, at the age of 54, Srila Prabhupada retired from material life and adopting the Vanaprasth retired order to devote more time to studies and writing. Srila Prabhupada traveled to the holy city of Vrindavan, where he can lived in very humble circumstances in the historic medieval temple of Radha Damodar. There he engaged for several years in deep studying and writing. He accepted the renounced order of life sannyasa in 1959. At Radha Damodar, Srila Prabhupada began work on his life masterpiece, a multi-volume translation of and commentary on the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. He also wrote Easy Journal to Other Planets. Probably said I am going to this book next. After publishing these three volumes of Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada came to the United States in 1965 to fulfill the mission of his spiritual master. Subsequently, His Divine Grace wrote more than 60 volumes of authoritative translation, commentaries, and summary studies of the philosophical and religious classics of India. In 1965, when he first arrived by the freighter in New York City, Srila Prabhupada was practically penniless. It was after almost a year of great difficulty that he established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in July of 1966. Before his passing away in November 14, 1977, he guided the society and saw it grow to a worldwide confederation of more than 100 ashrams, schools, temple institutes, and farm communities. In 1968, Srila Prabhupada created New Vrindavan, an experimental Vedic community in the hills of West Virginia. Inspired by the success of New Vrindavan, now a thriving farm community of more than 1,000 acres, students have been since founded several similar communities in the United States and abroad. In 1972, His Divine Grace introduced the Vedic system of primary and secondary education in the West by founding the Gurukul schools in Dallas, Texas. Since then, under his supervision, his disciples have established children's schools throughout the United States and the rest of the world. As of 1980s, there are 14 Gurukul schools worldwide, with the principal education center now located in Vrindavan, India. Srila Prabhupada also inspired the construction of several large international culture centers in India. The center at Sri Dham, Mayapur in West Bengal is the site for the planned spiritual city, an ambitious project for which construction will extend over the next decade. In Vrindavan, India is the magnificent Krishna Balaram Temple and International Guest House. There is also a major cultural and educational center in Bombay. Other centers are planned in a dozen other important locations on Indian subcontinent. Srila Prabhupada's most significant contribution, however, is his books. Highly respected by academic community for their authoritativeness, depth, and clarity, they are used as the standard textbooks in numerous college courses. His writings have been translated into 30 languages, over 30 languages. The Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, established in 1972 exclusively to publish the works of His Divine Grace, has thus become the world's largest publisher of books in the field of Indian religion and philosophy. In just 12 years, in spite of his advanced age, Srila Prabhupada circled the globe 14 times on a lecture tour that took him to 6 continents. In spite of such a vigorous schedule, Srila Prabhupada continued to write prolifically. His writing constitute a veritable library of Vedic philosophy, religion, literature, and culture. Okay, this is the going to reference. Hare Krishna.